in a lot of stores. So it's little wonder that smart shoppers everywhere take time out to pause and refresh. And where else but in the fountain where they serve ice-cold Coca-Cola?
The eMilitia Podcast, Episode 58, Investigating Raw Eggs. Enjoy, fuckers.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into the eMilitia Podcast. Today I have BJ, Pulpo, and Steppy with me. We're going to talk about health and living a healthy lifestyle and all of that stuff. If you guys want to introduce yourselves and give your social media, that would be great.
Sure. Hey, I'm BJ, aka beejereeno on Twitter at beejereeno, Beejereeno.
Pulpo. I don't remember what my Twitter handle is, actually. I'm on my 40th one. I probably shouldn't even say it out loud. I get banned again. If you know where to find me, you know where to find me.
Is it Hell Pulpo or something like that?
Yeah, it's Hell Pulpo right now, since having El Pulpo gets me auto-banned.
Yeah, and you can't even look for the smoking duck anymore, because that gets
banned too. That's insane.
Whoa.
All right, yeah, Steppy, at PweaseNo.
Okay, quick disclaimer. This is an educational, using that word loosely, an informational podcast and is not intended to be or a substitute for medical advice. So don't sue anybody. Okay, so to get started, I would like for you guys to introduce yourselves and talk about your overall message that you want to convey. If it's just like a warning or a motto or an energy you want to put off. We can just like start with, just go down like the list in the voice chat, if that's okay.
Sure. So I'm practically a boomer. I'm in my late 40s. I'm female, if that's not obvious. And I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2007. So I guess ever since then, I've been sort of through a whole lot of medical crapola. And so I come from the perspective of having had a whole bunch of stuff happen to me. And so now I'm kind of like, I've been on this disciplinary path for the rest of the last few, I guess, decade and a half almost. And now in the last 6 years, I'm finally getting it right. So that's where I come from with all of this.
Yay. El Popo?
Basically, my only message here is that you should go to the gym and learn how to fight. Do jiu-jitsu, do wrestling, do some judo, you do boxing or Muay Thai, or I'll even accept Taekwondo. You have to go do something. There's many reasons why it's a great way to get fit while keeping your brain engaged. And it's also always a good idea to learn how to protect yourself.
Helps with confidence too.
Well, there's 100 different things that it's good for. Those are just my two driving things that I find most people probably in this community who are going to listen to this for advice. That's probably two of the main factors why they're listening.
Big time. Steppy?
Sure, yeah. So I am a lifelong gym rat and outdoors enthusiast. At some point in my youth, I did like a through hike of the Appalachian Trail, and I've been, just like in and out of the gym for my whole life, and it's really the thing that keeps me sane and keeps me going. So I am a gym and outdoors evangelist.
Okay. It sounds like you've been a lifer, but I don't know if like BJ or El Pulpo, if you guys, like, if you started off unhealthy and then just there was something that happened that made you become healthier or anything like that. What's like your relationship been? What was like your moment? What, like, your sign, I guess?
So I don't know about me being healthy necessarily. I did it because it was fun, and I noticed that it does help me stay in shape, in good shape. I can tell when I'm not going to the gym, my body feels way worse. But I still do unhealthy things. Like I smoke a bunch of cigarettes. That's not good.
I don't know.
But I love them, you know. I can't help myself. Sometimes I don't eat very well either. But the good news is I'm still going to the gym.
Balance.
Yeah, I come from a place of like the average American that eats garbage because that we're believed to that it's normal and that it's average and that it's healthy. And when I say garbage, I'm even talking about the stuff that people market to us as healthy. Yeah, I'm talking about oatmeal. Yeah, I'm talking about granola bars. Yeah, I'm talking about shit tons of carbs that ain't good for nobody. Unless you're starving and you need to put on 50 pounds in, 8 months. So I guess I'm coming from the standpoint of the normal everyday person who is likely to be diabetic, if not already. So my thing is, yes, it's great to go to the gym. Yes, it's great if that makes you happy. I'm all about getting outside and exercising because my belief is that it's a spiritual and mood thing. It's not going to make me lose weight. Sorry. My thing is diet, so that's where I come from. Everybody like lives at Denny's and eats, these Grand Slam up to the sky pancakes with a pitcher of syrup and all this other stuff. And not any amount of dieting or low fat or exercising did me anything but get sick and fat. So there are people like me in this world who are kind of like, stop listening to the low fat dietary dogma. Stop listening to the USDA because they're just trying to make everybody weak and sick, and learn what's actually healthy.
Awesome. Steppy, I know like you've been kind of like a lifer, but do you ever get off track, and what helps center you, or do you have anything to add?
There's been like times in my life that I've been, that I've slacked and gotten back on the wagon. Honestly, for the past couple of years of my life, like as dorky as it is, I set a lot of New Year's resolutions. So like I'll just like bullet out a bunch of things that I want to achieve in the year, and a lot of them have to do with health and fitness. And that really forces me to stick to it. Like last year, I started off with a carnivore January to like reset my diet. That was really good for me. And right now I'm in the middle of like a 75-day there's like this trendy thing called 75 hard, but like it's like the 75-day fitness challenge where you like work out X amount of times a day and drink a ton of water, and I'm doing like a pretty strict keto diet. So like I just have to keep myself accountable and treat myself like my own employee, and if I don't, I actually am not healthy at all. So
I like New Year's resolutions. It's a good time to assess where you're at.
Really, I've just never resolved any New Year's resolutions because I'm one of those people that like, if it's not perfect, I can't start, and if it's not perfect as I go, it's never going to get finished. So I'm just one of those people that like, if I have an idea of like an overall like short-term or long-term goal in my head and tell myself that I'm actually going to do it without actually saying that it's a goal, I sort of make baby steps toward it without even thinking about it.
I like New Year's resolutions, and I really like when Monday is also the first of something. I think that's a good time to set new goals too.
I'm actually a Monday driver. I believe in Mondays, and I think that everybody gets a new start, and Monday is, it's only 4 days away if you screwed up whatever the part of the week,
Mm-hmm. I think to start, we already started, but I guess to start to transition. segue into another conversation. What is a basic measure of fitness and health? Keeping in mind a significant portion of our audience are probably going to be listening for like tactical readiness. So like what should they all like immediate goals to set? Like basic, everybody should be able to do this type stuff. It's a free for all.
Well, I don't know anything about tactics, but I've done a lot of backpacking, and I would say that is a great and very scalable pursuit to get into, and that can really, I think, be if you want to sort of LARP and play GI Joe, GI Jane, that's a great thing to get into. Like you can just start walking, like just put on like a JanSport backpack with a couple of water bottles, granola bars. Just go out for like a 4-hour day hike. Pretty easy, especially if you don't like hit any major hills. And you can scale that up and eventually just start taking a full backpack just to get into it. Like I do a lot of walks with like a 40-pound weighted vest. But like you can like take that as far as you want to go with it. So that's a really good scalable hobby, and like you can get some monster leg muscles that way.
Yeah, I think hiking is really good, and especially if you live in you don't even have to be in like an area where there's lots of like, nature. You can even do this urban. Like there's a lot of hills where I live, where I think the elevation is like as much as like 900 feet or something, depending on what part of town I'm in. There's a lot of hills here, that are like literally urban roads, streets. And so anybody can do that, even if you're like not in a place where you would think of it as like, full of trails and nature. So I totally agree that, getting out and walking, just start walking it's just it's good for your mood. I don't care about, exercising to lose weight that much, because for me, diet has always been the big driver, not exercise. But not everybody's like me. I can lose weight with being sedentary, but that's because the way that I eat is different. But I do think that one other thing I'd like to add is intermittent fasting. If you can force yourself to go without eating for more time than you maybe are used to, and then get over that sort of discomfort factor, I think that's another thing, because we're, in a society that, eats around the clock. Basically, we eat breakfast as soon as we get up, or not too long after we get up. We are then hungry again 4 hours later, and, we go out with people at work, whatever, and then, before we even go to bed at night, we're eating, another meal. And it's like, if you can push yourself to maybe either skip breakfast or just skip dinner one time, and see how that goes for you, just to push back past the comfort of eating all the time, I think that that's beneficial for not just, our overall health, but like your liver, your kidneys, your organs. They all need a rest from all the food that we're shoving down our throats every single day, all day long, all week long. And I think the best way to start with fasting is to basically go with a lower carb approach. So that's just my thing.
Good goal to set. Go 16 hours without food.
Yeah, I just think most people should, like everyone else has said, going out and walk, go and do something active. That's a very, very good beginner point. Jumping rope if you can't go anywhere. Skipping rope's pretty good, because you don't have to go anywhere. It doesn't require much room, and it's just a good way to get the heart rate going. You don't have to go for long. I'm not even good at skipping rope. I can't go for very long myself. After that, after you can do these things consistently for like a long period of time without stopping, it doesn't have to be long. Let's say 10 minutes, then start looking for some more activities to do that are more demanding on the cardiovascular system.
I agree. That's a great way to build up your stamina, because then if you can build up your stamina, you can survive walking it from a tactical approach. You can survive walking to basically anywhere if you have to,
Yes, if this is for tactical reasons, you should be here already, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
You should be looking at being able to run a mile, without stopping. 1 mile, don't stop.
Absolutely.
I grew up super unhealthy, and whenever I started like improving my life and trying to run, my first goal for running was to be able to run through the entire song of like Rap God by Eminem. I eventually was able to. It was really great. Does anybody have anything else to add?
No, but that's really good that you were able to do that. And I think like I can do cardio, no sweat. I'm trying to work up my ability to do more strength training. But like I said, I'm my late 40s and I don't have great knees, and I'm trying to find a starting strength coach. If you're coming from a place, and there's none in Minnesota, fuck me. So if you're coming from a place of like, I feel weak and cardio isn't really doing anything for me, find a starting strength coach. If you just go to starting strength in Google or whatever, DuckDuckGo, you can find one in your location. And if you're like me and you're old and beat up and worn down, you'll find somebody who's like able to take somebody who from a gentle approach of training into becoming stronger if that's your goal. And I think that women shouldn't either be afraid to like go and lift. Like just start around the house, like pick things up and put them down. Heavy things. Who hates moving? Everybody hates moving. You know why? Because you have to pick shit up and put it down. And nobody likes to do that all day long for a weekend, but that's what we do when we move. So if you start getting into the habit of that kind of stuff around the house on a regular day, every couple of days for 10, 15 minutes a day, you will build that strength up.
I thought like that was really all I wanted to cover getting started. And then from here, I thought I'd just kind of like open it up for like whatever you guys wanted to talk about. If you want a monologue or if you have any advice or stuff like that. And if you have nothing, I have listener questions.
So I was just looking through the thing, but I'd like to see if anybody else has anything to say first, because I've already been speaking a lot.
Well, I could give, I guess, my reasoning for why I think people should give. If you're wanting to get into fitness, right? And let's say I hate lifting, for instance. I don't lift. I really hate running. I don't like traditional gym activity. And if you're like me, if I have a problem with focusing on anything to begin with. This is not because of the gym's fault. It's just probably my fault. But if you are like me and you need something to keep your mind engaged while you're doing something, I find jiu-jitsu is a great way to do this. It's one of the reasons why I've been doing it for so long, for about a decade now. And that's because you have to use all the muscles in your body. You're fighting against somebody else. It's very taxing, but you also have to intelligently defend yourself. So it requires your brain, by its very nature of the sport, to be engaged. It's a lot like people describe it as human chess a lot. And that's kind of what it is. It's a match. You can think moves ahead. You can think of, there's a lot of strategy. There's meta game in it now. It's a great way, I think. Time goes by too when you start doing it. And the best part is you can go roughly, 100% sparring with people without real threat of injury. And this isn't true in like boxing, for instance, where you obviously can't spar 100% and then go to work the next day, with a black eye. In jiu-jitsu, you relatively, you can do this with your other training partners for the most part without worrying about going to work looking all jacked up. I think it's a great place for people to start. I think Bird is giving jiu-jitsu a try. He told me he would, and he said he really meant it, but I haven't spoke to Bird in many days, so I don't know if he's trying or not. If he's there,
he's gonna become unstoppable if he masters jiu-jitsu.
Right?
Dude, that's what I think. That's why I like this. I think this community would find it very peculiar because a lot of these people in this community we're in are different thinkers, and they think in a different. I'm not like doing Fedora thing here where I'm like, oh, you gotta to be a Rick and Morty fan, you gotta have a high IQ to be an anarchist. I'm not doing that because I'm stupid. But I also admit that I think in a weird way. Sometimes it's not good, it's bad. Other times it is bad, like the way that the mind processes logic, rather. I think people who process logic in this manner really benefit from jiu-jitsu. I think it makes you really good. And I'd like to see a bunch of anarchists who are also can I swear? I didn't ask beforehand.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, I already did, and nobody yelled at me. So.
Okay, I want to see a bunch of anarchists be fucking killers, dude. That'd be so wicked. A bunch of nerd assassins. Anarchists.
What, like against the NAP, dude?
Right. Just imagine, first of all, imagine a bunch of anarchists at Childerberg. Everyone's a freaking jujitsu brown belt.
Jesus.
That'd be pretty wicked. And then someone rolls up on us, they'd have no clue what's coming. And then second, imagine, you want to just, let's say, you want to do some cool stuff in the streets versus not a police department in Minecraft. Everyone knows jujitsu. Cops don't know jujitsu. That's a great little thing no one knows. So it makes resisting arrest really, really easy. But
instead of like taxation is theft, the really popular phrase would be like armbar politicians.
I'm trying to think. Okay, when he was talking about cops not knowing jujitsu, that's like a rare fact. I'm laughing because it's true that they probably don't. And I'm always thinking back of like a comic that said, if you want to win a fight, you have to like go out and like run around naked and oiled up, and see if anybody is able to fight you, because they won't be able to.
It is. I mean, and imagine being both. Imagine knowing jujitsu and being oiled up. What? They'll just make you the mayor for however long you commit to the act.
Right.
Well, we already had an oily naked guy in the LP, so like we're almost there.
That's true.
Yeah, but that dude didn't know jujitsu. He wasn't a real threat.
Yeah. No, but like for real, I'm all about what you're saying here, because I think this is like, this is not patting us on the back necessarily, but like this is a uniquely obsessive community, which is good and bad. But like that can be really weaponized, and being obsessive is a beautiful thing when it comes to like mind, body, and incorporating them together. And I would love, like, jujitsu is not my thing. Heck, I would do it, like, and maybe I could be convinced, but jujitsu is not personally my thing. But like, I would love to see a bunch of just jacked, like, just super strong anarchists. So really, like, it's all about like, anarchist super soldiers. But I promise, like, if you're in this sphere and you're listening to this and you're thinking like, oh, maybe I'll get to the gym, whatever, just like for 2 weeks, like, make it your focus to like just identify as the kind of person who is a gym rat, who is obsessive, and just see how you feel at the end of it and really geek out on it. Like, throw your Rothbard away for a week and just get really into like, Schwarzenegger, like, just like really just geek out on being a gym rat, and I promise you will get a taste for it, and like, it'll change your life.
Yeah, my thing is like, if you can learn to do these things without depending on the actual gym, that's why I like to exercise outside and like go climb, street hills and stuff, because a gym, if you think about it, is not sustainable. So it's like, if you can find, and I'm not trying to fight you on this, like, I agree that, get out of bed and go to the gym. Like, that's the first thing that for me is like, as soon as I'm up in the morning and it's not 6 feet of snow on the ground, I'm outside. It's like, for me, it's like the best thing in the world, because even if you don't like it, once you get started, like, oh man, this feels good to be moving around, and it's so good for your mood and also your strength. And like I said before, exercise is not something that helps me lose weight. My diet is my discipline. So if you can just like start, like you said, start making it your thing, it will be your thing eventually.
Do you want to talk a little bit about intermittent fasting? I think that's a good thing for people to do. I started it like a couple years ago after I tried to fast for 16 days, like with no food at all. It was really hard. It sucked. But afterwards, regular fasting is super easy. I think like one of the books I read said like a really good starting place is like trying to go 12 hours. Just like most people don't even go 12 hours without shoving food in their mouth. And so like that's a really good starting point.
Absolutely, because a lot of people, so like the most I've eaten in a day is like, if I have a feeding window, the most I've done is like 8 hours. And to me, that's even too much sometimes. It depends on the day. If I've been super busy and like very active and like doing a lot more around the house or outside than I normally would have, then I may actually eat more in my feeding window. But my feeding window is anywhere between 2 hours and 5 hours at the most. And that's because I'm type 2 diabetic and I'm trying to get rid of my glycogen stores, which is one reason why I like to exercise first thing in the morning, is because you're able to, kick that in and, basically burn off any glucose that your body is hanging on to. So without going into like a whole bunch of science on it, I come from a diabetic standpoint, but also like people think that, oh, if I can't sleep, I should have something to go to eat before I go to bed. But what ends up happening is your body is now devoting the time that you normally take to repair itself, ordinary maintenance, and it's using that time to digest. And if you get in the habit of like not eating past 6 p.m., if you are a 9 to 5er, or if you get up in the morning and you're not a night shift person, if you get in the habit of putting the last meal at least like 7 hours before your bedtime, then I think it's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Steppy, do you want to talk about the 75-day thing that you're doing? Like people who
Sure,
want to
yeah.
join you or something?
Yeah, so my wife told me about this. I think it is like trending in sort of the like fitness and health niche of like Instagram and so on. But it's called 75 Hard. This guy's selling a book. I don't remember his name. I've never read his book. Whatever. The actual program fits on like an index card. So I'm just going off the index card, and if I'm doing it wrong, I don't know. But there's like 5 things you got to do every day for 75 days straight. One of them, it's built as like a mental toughness challenge, so they're not all health and fitness related. For instance, one of them is you got to read 10 pages of a book every day. Okay.
That's
fine.
Mental.
Yeah. The other is you got to drink a gallon of water every day. Very difficult.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much a gallon was. But I feel great from the gallon of water, boy. 3 is you got to work out 2 times a day, 45 minutes each. One of them's got to be outside. That was very brutal in the middle of winter. And what is it? Oh, stick to a diet, any diet, but it can't contain alcohol, and you can't have any cheat meals. So I've been doing keto. And then lastly, you got to take a progress photo every day. That's like my least favorite part because I don't know, it feels very self-absorbed. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's like just the workout density. Like I've actually been really like forced to, that like Ben Franklin saying, like, you want to get something done, ask someone busy to do it. It's like, especially with fitting in the workouts, I've gotten to the point now where it's like, well, like I really like need to optimize my life so I can get these 2 workouts in every single day, even if it's a work day. But now it's like I've gotten so good at fitting the workouts in. I've done 3 workouts for like the past week, every single day. And let's classify what a workout is. Like it might be something like just, like a gentle yoga video on YouTube or something, or like a walk, or it could be weight training. Like it's whatever I'm feeling in the moment. But like, yeah, I not everyone's this way, but like I like sticking to these like psychotic spreadsheet plans. I think it's fun.
Index card of allowable lifestyle.
I think it's it's cool if you're one of those people that's like balls to the wall. I can't fail if I don't try hard enough kind of thing. That's a great thing. But for me, my experience has been that most of my peers are like need to take everything slow and stuff. But I think I can appreciate that for people that maybe want to level up, I guess.
Just kickstart.
Yeah, and I would say, sleep came up earlier in the discussion. If you want to sleep like a baby and very deeply and very efficiently, I can't recommend enough exercising a ton and being on a low carb diet. Like I am sleeping 7 hours of like perfectly deep sleep every single night, like clockwork. I just like spring up out of bed. It's crazy. Like this is some of the best sleep of my life.
I agree that sleep is one of the most important things. I was going to actually bring it up before we even got together tonight. I'm lucky if I get 7.5 hours. I usually go for 6 and see what happens, but that's because I'm a dumbass and I like to drink water all fucking day long. So what I've been noticing is if I stop like gulping water, like if I have a sip, that's fine. But if I stop gulping it, about 3 hours before bed, I can like you Steppy said, like I can get a full night without my bladder waking me up. Otherwise, that's the only that literally the bladder is the only thing that keeps me from sleep. It's not because I'm having issues sleeping. So I agree. Oh, and magnesium. If you can get your hands on a good magnesium source, and if whether you're male or female, ashwagandha is also amazing as an herbal supplement for if you do have sleep issues.
And I heard magnesium is good for cramping too. That's what I took when I was getting bad cramps.
Yes, sir. If you're low carb, and one of the things that people notice when they go low carb is magnesium deficiency, because you start flushing out so much. You start flushing out so much of your electrolytes because you're losing water weight when you go low carb.
Yeah, that's exactly what I needed. It was cutting weight for a fight and cutting a lot of water weight while eating low carb. That's 100% what caused. I was getting crazy cramps, and I was told take a bunch of magnesium. I did it, and it worked just like a charm.
There's a really large percentage of people that are deficient on magnesium.
Yeah, the only problem is if you overdose, you can have bathroom issues. So you have to be very careful.
Which bathroom issues? Like too much or too little?
No way.
Loosey goosey.
Somebody just said something, and I'm gonna ask some of the listener questions if that's okay. There were like 5. Not a lot of questions here. I think most people were embarrassed to ask because the audience is mostly males and I'm a female, and they weren't anonymous to ask.
The cowards.
Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
The first question is kind of like current events type question. With everybody getting their stimulus money, what should they spend it on to level up? Health and fitness wise, books, like classes, equipment, anything. I think it's really good to have a kettlebell in your house.
There you go.
That's the best bang for your buck for resistance training, is just one kettlebell that like is for you, medium heavy, whatever that is. I weigh 200 pounds. For me, if I could have one thing, I'd have a 50-pound kettlebell. So that's going to vary, but yeah, that's the absolute best bang for your buck. It's like $100 brand new for a 50-pound kettlebell. I guess if we're talking about blowing a stimulus check, like I could think of a lot of fitness related stuff I would spend it on. One thing that got brought up earlier would be coaching. Honestly, you cannot discount the utility of a great coach. I went solo until I was like 30, and it was pretty good. But then like I joined a gym that was more of an intimate like group class setting, and that just like broke so many plateaus that I had. It was awesome, and it was worth all of the expensive price tag. So like I would honestly blow the stimulus on a good strength coach, and other than that, maybe some good steaks or free range eggs.
Yeah, I agree with the stimulus. I agree with the stimulus payment on a coach. Sorry, I know I said I was done, but I wanted to just step in and say I agree with that. Okay, so it's like if you're kind of beginning with workout stuff and you don't know where to start, it's better to like, if you can afford to, use that money towards having somebody show you the right way. There's a lot of YouTube videos and stuff, yeah, but you know what? You could still fuck something up if you're not careful. And if you're old like me, you really want to do that because you could fuck up something really for a long term if you're not careful. Like me, I have shitty knees and I have shitty shins and I don't have a good shoulder on the left side. So it would be really stupid for me to be like, well, I'm just going to see what this guy on YouTube is doing and throw myself into it. Like, that wouldn't be good. I run a business. You know what I mean? It's like
when the pandemic first like started, my gym's like a university gym and they shut down, and I got like a kettlebell and like the old lady step aerobic steps. I got like one of those and a kettlebell, and I would just like do that, and that was really great. You could really find some awesome videos on YouTube. And then eventually I got like an indoor bike, which is really nice just to do while I watch TV.
I think those step things are amazing. What weight kettlebell did you start with?
I think it's a 20-pound kettlebell.
Okay.
I like lifted and stuff at my gym, so it wasn't like new. Just really useful. You could do all kinds of workouts with them.
Oh, I have recently only thought about these. Like I said, I just do chores around the house. I lift this box up over there. But I think a bell would be it. I think that would make sense. And somebody mentioned, I think it was it Pulpo's talking about jump rope. Another thing that I noticed people have said in the carnivore community and like just general health is like a mini trampoline. So like if you have one, like
I have one of those.
I heard that it's really good for like there's something in your body where if you jump up and down for a certain amount of time during the day, like it does something to your balance. And also there's I forget the word for it, but if you look it up, there's like mini tramp exercise helps with this. It's like a natural human thing that everybody's supposed to have that we've lost because we don't jump up and down enough.
I have one. It's another thing I like to do while I watch TV.
What's that?
Trampoline, like a mini trampoline. And I live in an upstairs apartment, so I feel really bad for my neighbor.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said I have another thing that I like to do. I didn't know what you meant.
No, the trampoline.
Yeah. My dad had one in the basement when we were kids, and we fought over it. See, there you go.
I'm just gonna say to your downstairs neighbor, they have no idea you're jumping on a trampoline. They're just they're hearing rhythmic springs, and that's it.
Yeah.
Getting sound out there.
You gotta when you do it, you have to just be yelling, "It's a trampoline! It's a trampoline!"
I used to live below an Irish musician who would like stamp out the beat to the music she was playing, but I didn't know that for a long time, so I just thought she was like really getting lucky.
Headboard action, right?
Yeah.
I have never thought about that, and now I will.
If you find like, oh, you wouldn't do this anyway. I'm such a boomer, you guys. Like, all I could think about was like getting a VHS of like Sweatin' to the Oldies with Richard Simmons and putting that on and see if that would help. But
they're all on YouTube.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, YouTube's the treasure trove of fitness stuff.
That's awesome. I love all that retro 80s stuff with like Jane Fonda. No pain, no gain.
I think, hey, you know what? Was it $1,400? How many jiu-jitsu classes does that pay for?
So an average jiu-jitsu class, if you're going to just a normal old gym, perhaps not in the city, right on the cuffs of the city, it's about $100 a month, you know. And so that covers a whole year. Plus, you have $200. You can buy yourself a gi or some no-gi stuff. I like no-gi stuff because I don't really like the gi. That's just me. Don't go to Gracie Barra, okay? I like coming on podcast and shitting on Gracie Barra every chance I get because they fucking suck. They're a cult. Don't waste your money. You're going to have to spend a lot. You can only wear their stuff when you're in their gym. It's like a CrossFit cult of jiu-jitsu. I mean, they are good though, so it's not like they're bad. They're good at jiu-jitsu, but it's not worth it though for that level. You can get that level of jiu-jitsu at other places too that isn't a cult. And for most gyms, you can go. They have a class every day. Usually, sometimes they have some gyms have 6 a.m. classes or 5 a.m. for really early people, if that's your thing too, for third shift. Most of the classes anywhere between 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. And I mean, it's just a lot of fun. The other part is you get to see your progression. You get to watch your progression in real time. You know, you can tell because you can quantify it. You can see how many more people you're submitting, how longer of a round, how many more rounds you're able to do, all kinds of other stuff, and how much you don't just try to cram a bunch of knowledge in at once. But as you continue to do it, by the end of the year, you'll be like, dude, I could beat the shit out of 1 year old ago me and 1 year old me. I could beat both those motherfuckers at the same time. I'll tear them both up. But you'll see, just doing it for 1 year, 2 days a week, doing it for 1 year, you'll not only be able to beat the hell out of current self, but you'll be able to beat the hell out of, I don't know, like 75% of the people you interact with. And the more years you do it, the quicker that number goes to 99%.
I think like a lot of people will try and like spend their stimulus on guns or gear, but you're way more likely to get, well, no, like you are objectively more likely to get use from jiu-jitsu classes or any sort of gym classes or fitness classes. I used to do step aerobics at my gym and I really liked it. It was well worth the money, but I think like you're more likely to find use from something like that than you are gear and whatever.
I'm surprised to hear about the cost. I think $100 a month is quite reasonable. If that's like a huge life improvement.
If you live on a college, a lot of colleges have free classes. They're notoriously known for being taught by like only a blue belt, but it's still better than nothing. It's free too. Where else are you gonna get free jiu-jitsu?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds better than my stupid trampoline, but
trampoline is very cool.
But if you do jiu-jitsu in your upstairs apartment, your neighbor's gonna be way more pissed. Ask me how I know, because when I started doing it as a teenager, I'd bring all my friends over and we'd beat the hell out of each other. And I lived in an upstairs apartment, and our neighbors there's no telling how many brooms they broke. They would bang the hell out of the ceiling. They'd do it constantly, and we wouldn't care. We would beat the shit out of each other. They can come upstairs, the little cowards. They wouldn't do it. I don't even know what they look like. So, but the point is, I think they would have rather had the trampoline.
All I can think about now is what my neighbor thinks when I do the trampoline.
So the trampoline, I just Googled it. I remember the word that I was looking for earlier was rebounding. Humans don't have enough rebounding exercises. And so people who get on the trampoline, you are basically getting the rebounding, and it's also a detox. It's as hippy dippy as that sounds. It is a detox because you're shaking all your tissues up. You don't do that when you walk that much. You don't do it when you lift that much. You might do it when you're jiu-jitsuing because you're tumbling all over the place, but you're getting more of that detox with rebounding, and that's mini trampoline action right there.
Okay. What are some basic changes I can make without overwhelming myself? So I'm going to tell you guys, I should have told you this at the beginning. Our audience is overwhelmingly like male and pretty young, like 17 to 23. Surprise, a podcast called the eMilitia has a young male audience.
Damn whippersnappers.
Yeah, we're all old, dude.
Oh, you guys aren't old.
Hey, you're not that much older than me.
Well, all right.
Point is, I'm not in the 17 to 23 range. That's for sure.
No, but we were one time. And
yeah, that's true. That's true.
We are wise.
I wasn't.
That's when I started doing this. And I think it's a great time, especially like if you're 16, 17. First of all, if you're that age, go on your high school wrestling team. I think that's every hard worker I've ever met, rather every wrestler I've ever met who did wrestling in high school and still likes it to this day. They're really, really hard workers. They're dedicated to a lot of stuff. They're varying, intelligence and other attributes, but hardworking is consistent amongst them all. And I mean, there's something about wrestling too, especially in high school and even the younger. If you have kids, I think wrestling's a really great program to put them in. It just gives people a lot of drive and determination, a crazy amount too. I can't think of another sport that this happens in, where 100% of the people I interact with, and this is very scientific. I'm a scientist, so this is real numbers repeated to people you know. 100% of the people I've met who are wrestlers are really cool.
I heard that.
I think rock climbers. Rock climbers are pretty cool too.
Hmm. Okay, so one of the rock climber I know is Freebird and the other is Bullshido. So I think I'm like 50-50 on that. I'll let you guys decide.
Wait, which one's the bad 50?
It's a listener. It's their imagination.
Whoa,
They can
whoa.
decide. I'm just kidding. I like both of those people.
You're
Bullshido.
not going to hear me denigrate a fellow Boys Town member, okay?
Oh,
That's
here
right.
we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I think like a really good place to start, like where I started, I like tracking my food was like a really good place for me to start because I had no idea what was like in it.
Yeah. I think it's important for people to like if you're just starting from nothing and you just figure you're like a normal person, you have a normal diet, but you think you want to be healthier, you think you want to be stronger, you want to eat better. I think it's important to start by tracking to see what just on an average day, like don't even try to eat healthy, just eat normally. Like you normally don't have that mindset, just write down everything that you eat. And then you can go back and be like, whoa. Because like I think the thing is like I don't track anymore anyway because that's obsessive. Like I have had patterns of disordered eating in the past. I don't mean eating disorder. I'm not bulimic or anorexic. It's disordered eating. I think a lot of Americans have disordered eating where we celebrate with food, we grieve with food, we feel like shit and break up with somebody and turn to food. We have ideas of portions that aren't correct. We have ideas of what's healthy that aren't correct according to biology and history and going back to thousands of years of man on earth. And I think just starting by tracking is a really helpful way to see if you've never really actually dieted before or been disciplined about what you eat. It's a very good place to start, but don't get obsessive about it like I did.
It was real traumatizing after I didn't change how I ate and I tracked everything for like 3 weeks. Wasn't cool.
Well, but if you don't have any if you don't have major health problems, it's not. If you're young and you haven't been told by a doctor something scary yet, you still have. It's never too late to start, but you still have time.
Steppy, do you have any advice for newbies?
Okay. Well, you specifically said, probably the target listener here is maybe like a man under the age of 25.
Yeah.
So, okay, the question was a basic piece of advice, but I think my advice, honestly, is non-basic. It's to become obsessed with something because you're young, you have a ton of energy, and you have a lifetime to get good at it, and that's what you should be doing. But here's that in a basic format is shop, like just make an appointment to try a few different things and give them a real college try and let yourself quit if you want to. You find the thing that like has the community you like that makes you lose track of time doing and really dork out about. You're not going to like everything, but you're going to hit your thing. You're like Pulpo's got his like jujitsu. I've got like weightlifting and hiking. Like find your thing, try rock climbing, join a running club, like just try something and see if like you click with the people. You don't have to be good at it. Just like make that your basic action is shop around until you find a thing that actually like you're a little obsessed with.
I think that's a really good idea. Because if you don't love it, you're not going to want to do it long term.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you have a passion for something, that's obviously you're gonna keep your interest. And here's the thing: I'm more disciplined, and I think everybody on this panel is probably more disciplined than the average person. But like I said, if you're starting small, it'll take you miles to where you need to be. But if I don't know. Like I said, I have more discipline. Most people will be like, well, yeah, let's skip the gym today, or let's go eat out or whatever. It's like I'm not like that. I'm kind of a boring person and party pooper. I'm the party pooper that stays home, or like I bring something to eat that I know I can eat because I can't eat what everybody else is eating, or I would rather walk to X place than But that's just me. My basic advice is like stop following the general consensus of what's healthy, because they haven't been right on it for 50 years. And especially, obviously, everybody listening to this isn't not going to listen to the USDA. But I know a lot of anarchists and libertarians who still think that steak on a plate is a heart attack, and that's not correct. So please dig into the nutrition science. Thank you.
Preach. Yeah, if you've been through the past, if you're an anarchist and you've observed the absolute state of medical advice in this day and age, trust me, the nutrition advice is bad. You'd be better off. You'd be better off finding a fringe wacko who's actually very good at what they do and listening to what they have to say, because I promise you, it's not the standard medical advice. Like bro science, so called, it's actually pretty good. Like if you talk to your average gym rat or whatever, like they're gonna tell you how to win, like at what you're trying to achieve. They're gonna tell you sensible advice, how to eat clean.
Yeah, your doctor's not going to, unless they're an alternative doctor. And you're going to get a lot more information out of, say, I don't know, an hour of Joe Rogan and Rhonda Patrick than you're going to get out of a mainstream doctor. And I'm not sitting here, I'm not a Rogan stan, and I'm not a Dr. Patrick stan. I'm just giving out a bro science example, So I think that that's important too, is like find people that you respect that are doing what you want to, where you want to be and what you want to do, and just follow their example. That's another good way to start too,
I read the book The Obesity Code, and when it started talking about the food pyramid, it's like this could maybe radicalize a lot of anarchists further if they read like the history of the food guidelines and then like subsidizing all the bad stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, I have a whole huge tweet thread that I made like 2 years ago on that. I should find it. I think it's in my bookmarks, but yeah, the thing is like if you want to start somewhere, and maybe if you're like me and you have health problems, which I did, is like find a doctor that practices what's called functional medicine in your area and visit with them if you're going to do a low carb or alternative approach to your lifestyle and what you eat, because those people are going to more likely support a keto approach. They're not going to put you on drugs. They're not going to, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm kind of new to this whole. I mean, I don't ever trust the FDA or the USDA or any of those guys or any government entity. Obviously, of course, I'm pure in my can't say pure in blood. That means something else. Pure in mindset, anarchist mindset of don't trust these government folks. But I don't actually follow what we should do instead. So I'm only asking this half facetiously, but is smoking actually good for you?
No.
Oh. I was hoping that was one of their lies too.
There are nicotine's not bad for you. That's one thing that I think the popular culture would have you believe, but nicotine is not bad for you at all. Smoking is bad for you.
Yeah.
Just the carcinogen, I reckon.
Well, nicotine is a stimulant, just like coffee is, or just like, but the stuff they put in the cigarettes.
Nicotine's actually a nootropic, or however you say that word. It actually helps you think.
Right, but like even if you're smoking American spirits, you're still gonna have lung cancer from putting literal paper smoke in your lungs for however long.
Oh, 2-year cigarettes instead.
Wait,
no,
what?
Dude, that.
I didn't know. I was telling him to chew his cigarettes instead.
No, but let's say, so if I chain smoke 24/7, I'd be min-maxing my stats for intelligence though, right? I'd be a really sharp person, and it would really fuck with like my stamina and stuff. If I was going for like a really maximum like smart build, I would want to be smoking all the time. Is that what you're telling me, Steppy?
Well, I can't possibly refute this great plan, but I might advise vaping the nicotine instead.
No, I'm not min-maxing. No, I shouldn't do that joke. Never mind.
I'm afraid.
Just so the listeners know, El Pulpo was the scientist on the panel.
Yeah. I'm the scientist Philip Morris hired.
Okay, what are your favorite, this is a listener question, what are your favorite protein-packed foods or meals?
One of my favorite broke ass keto meals is ground beef and eggs, and then season it however you like. And whatever eggs you like, whether it's poached, sunny side up, scrambled, just put that shit on top of the ground beef and eat.
Nice. I love eggs.
I got a good. I eat this during when I have to cut weight and for taking a fight. I think it's delicious. I have a strange palate though, and I think it's cheap. I don't actually know if it's good for you. You guys have made me now skeptical of all the things I've ever eaten. So, but this is what I eat, and it's this pretty much the same thing every day. But it is really good low carb, I think. Anyway, it's brown rice, ground chicken. You can use ground turkey as well. Broccoli, mushroom, and then go to like get some sort of great Asian sauce. Like, I don't know, teriyaki is a little bit on the higher, more caloric scale.
And sugar.
Yeah.
I like,
but just
the
go
brown
like
rice chicken.
got a chili one that's really good. I like that. But yeah, just cook all that stuff together, stir fry it up, and then just eat. I can't tell you how much to eat. I don't know. I'd have to
Yeah.
guess anyway. But
If you're doing like one meal a day, that'd be a good meal for people. But I wouldn't do the rice or the teriyaki though.
I love rice.
I do too, but I'm diabetic, so that's like put me in a coma right now.
but it's the point I like is it's low calorie, high protein. And mushrooms, broccoli, and ground chicken. I mean, that's
that's like a pretty stereotypical like bodybuilder cut meal is just chicken,
Yeah.
broccoli, rice. That's like the trifecta.
it works, dude. Well, I also like ground chicken for that meal just because it's lean as well. It's the only reason why I steer away from ground beef. You can do ground beef, I guess, but I'm also most people that I don't know if I should give cutting a lot of weight advice to people. Don't listen to anything I just said.
Smoke more cigarettes.
It sounds like a great meal and it's protein packed for sure. But like for me, I would be going for tuna because it's 20 grams it's 20 grams for like 2.5 ounces.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think
It really
about that.
depends on like your goals and your palate. I don't really like a lot of meat, but I am fine with ground chicken.
Yeah, I used to be low fat, little protein, very little, very, very, very little meat, and I got fat and sick as fuck. So I guess everybody's different, so your mileage varies.
Yeah, I just don't like meat that much. I didn't like steaks well done, and I get a lot of hate for that.
Oh my god!
Any others? Eggs. I think I.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah! Hell yeah!
So, I would. This is not a meme. This is real advice. Please investigate raw eggs. Obviously, you want quality. You want good eggs. But for the past couple of months, I have been heavily incorporating raw eggs into my diet. I probably had 6 to 12 raw eggs a day for the past 2 months. It's so it's really good for your testosterone. It's perfectly safe as long as you're eating high quality eggs. I just get one of those shaker bottles for protein and just like plop in a bunch of eggs, shake it up real good so it's nice and smooth. It actually gets a little bit frothy like an eggnog, and just slonk it back. It's great. it fills you up. It's like full of good fats. It's just nutritionally perfect, and like I feel terrific.
Did you say slonk?
I said slonk. SLONK. That's the technical term for drinking raw eggs is slonking. Yeah, I'm having up to a carton a day.
Why is it need a technical term? It's just drinking.
Slunk.
That's amazing. Hey, you guys! Now that I think about it, I was thinking about raw eggs, and I was like, yeah, if you can get farm eggs, that's even better. And I know this isn't super hardcore related, but if you can join a freedom cell in your area. This is something that was recommended to me. I don't know if you guys watch Unloose the Goose podcast. It's it's an agorism, group on YouTube, and Sally Mayweather is on there. And I found out about freedom cells by talking to some people in their live chat. So I can't exactly attribute it to them, but that's where I found the person that invited me to one. And I think if you were able to join one in your area, you'd find a lot of resources on local food and like people that are either bartering or producing or able to go in on like a CSA or a farmer, purchase where you could like purchase eggs from people locally. And anyway, sort of a sidebar, but that's just
I think most of my diet's eggs and avocado.
I love eggs, but I haven't ever slonked an egg though.
Oh, dude, you got to try it. Tomorrow, just like slonk 4 eggs.
Like, so you mix it up in a shaker. You don't like Sylvester Stallone it, where you just do it in the like in Rocky, where you just put it in a
I've done
glass.
that. That has more of like this inconsistent textury feeling where you can kind of feel the yolks go back. Yeah, don't do it. It's a beautiful raw eggnog if you shake it up real good.
Yeah, I think you'd have like a gag reflex issue, maybe.
Okay, so hold on. Do you eat your eggs with hot sauce when you cook them?
I do, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so would you, if you added hot sauce to this, do you think it'd be any better?
It's perfect as it is. It's nature's perfect food, but I would do it.
I find that very hard to believe that it'd be perfect as it is, and I would say that's delicious. Give me 4 more eggs right now. I got to do another one.
Okay, can Steppy be the egg spokesperson, like the National Egg Board? He's like trying to fact check with the hot sauce.
When you were talking about like investigating raw eggs, it reminds me like last year I got really obsessed with garlic. Like after watching some documentary on like raw garlic or peeled garlic. Investigate your food. I think it's very cool.
You know what?
It's funny. You go.
You know what? I'm willing to. I do weird stuff. I'm willing to try this. I'm starting tomorrow. I'll slop off 4 eggs.
Do it. It'll change your life.
I'm gonna tweet about this. I'm gonna have a
this
diary every day.
Your life, we need to know, and if it does, we need to know too.
I'm gonna tweet about it every day that I do it. I'm gonna work my way up to slopping off 12 eggs a day, like Steppy does.
I have like 2 things. The first one is like these have to be like good eggs, right? You can't like 69-cent eggs from Aldi probably shouldn't be like consumed raw or.
Yeah, I get the Nellie's free range eggs. It's like the fancy one that they have at my particular grocery store. It's like organic and free range.
You can't afford your $6 goddamn eggs, Steppy.
Do you think I could be okay to slop off some Sam's Club eggs?
Slop off. You're sexual now. You said slop off and not honk or whatever.
That's what Steppy said.
This is at your own risk.
I thought you said slonk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's slonk.
Oh.
Slonk. Okay, and then
what'd I say?
Slog or something.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so my other thing is like, so we were super lied to when they said that raw eggs give you salmonella poisoning. Is like another conspiracy or what?
And so that's like, okay, if you get salmonella poisoning, it's because you like ate eggs from a source where they crack them all and store them in a container, and they mishandle whether it's a climate thing or storage with the air thing, and that's how you get it. You can't get salmonella from a raw egg, period. Even if it's not pasteurized and treated or whatever. Like if you just crack an egg from a farm, like right out of the hatch, or the coop, you're not going to get salmonella. You get salmonella from a bunch of eggs that have been cracked and housed together in a container badly, whether it's, like I said, climate or an air thing.
So where are we at on raw cookie dough?
If it's homemade, presumably it's good.
What do you call it when you eat a whole thing of that?
Diabetes.
Slonking cookie dough.
Freebasing.
Boofing cookie dough. Okay, now let's get out of hand.
Boofing.
Okay, I think I have like one last question. How do you structure a diet? Oh wait, okay, 2 questions. The other one is more important because it's sort of related. Can you speak to like the keto carnivore diet and like heart health? Is it going to give me a heart attack to eat butter and steak together? People do that. I don't understand it, but
Yeah, I do that.
I do that. So the incorrect assumption about steak and fat and protein giving people heart attacks is all attributed to this nasty, horrible scientist named Ansel Keys. He is a bad person, a very bad person, and he should feel bad, but he's been dead for a long time, so we can't really, he decided he had a hypothesis that heart attacks were directly correlated to a high fat diet. So he did a study to in his mind, hopefully prove his theory correct. Well, guess what? It wasn't correct, and he kicked out the data proving it incorrect. You can look this up on the internet. It's called the 7 countries study. It was actually 33 countries to begin with. And yeah. So long story short, he was able to, in his position, talk to very powerful people in very powerful areas, including the government, including universities, academia, and convince them of this. And also get people to basically tell the government this and convince them of it, and also medical. And so what happened is when people found plaque in coronary arteries for autopsy for people that had some kind of heart incident, whether it was a coronary heart attack or whatever, that plaque was cholesterol, but it was because that person consumed a lot of carbohydrate and sugar over the years, combined with other things like trans fat. And that was not attributed to dietary cholesterol, but the body's own cholesterol. The body's cholesterol is like super glue. If you fuck something up in your body, cholesterol rushes to it to repair it. That's what happened to the arteries. Sorry for my nerd moment.
That was like really good information.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to top that.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I like steak.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah, so steak is really good for you, and it's butter is too. There's actually vitamins in butter that you wouldn't get from other things because of the way that butter is the fat delivery system. So like if you take vitamins and supplements or things like that, and you take it in the powder form and you decide to switch to a soft gel that's encapsulated in olive oil, instead, you'll notice that your absorption level is going to be a lot higher because fat helps absorb vitamins.
And the last question: how do you structure a diet to make it easier to follow? Don't change too many things at once, for starters.
Yeah, I think baby steps are important, so you're right about that. I guess, unless anybody else has anything to add, I would like to say that the important thing to remember is like if you feel like structure is good for you, then you should decide what foods you do like that you believe are healthy and stick to those and just put them in your rotation regularly. But if you are someone like me who craves variety, understand too that flavors and spices and things like that can enhance, but they can also kind of sabotage you, if that makes sense. So learn to enjoy plain flavored foods first. And then if it gets boring, add spices and stuff, but don't go crazy because hyper palatable foods cause us to overeat.
So I would say when you're structuring a diet, especially like if you're new to dieting, and this takes a little trial and error, but you're going to not want to have to rely on your own willpower to succeed. All of the times that I've done the worst with dieting is when it's like, oh, well, I'm just gonna count calories and that'll simply be it. Now, it's good to count calories, but if you're eating the wrong foods, what you're gonna do is just be hungry and angry all the time. So you need to make sure that you're eating like high satiety foods that work with your athletic and health goals. So raw eggs. But like you actually need to make sure that you're feeling full, you're eating at the right times. You're going to have to experiment with food timing, drinking more water, eating more fiber. Like the trick is honestly not to feel hungry. And that takes trial and error to figure out how you don't feel hungry. I think everyone's a little different in that regard, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's important to, like you said, find the food that gives you the most satiety, because one thing that people ask me all the time, because I do run a low carb blog and recipe blog or whatever, is how come I'm hungry? I've been doing keto for weeks, months, whatever. I'm like, you didn't eat enough of the right thing. Like even if you are saying, well, I'm just going to eat this little amount of whatever, and like you said, you can't rely on willpower. It's not going to help.
There's like this volleyball coach who wrote a book on lifting. I can't remember his name, but he said like willpower is like a can of air, and every time you have to make a choice in a day, like think of it as like the can of air just like getting more empty. So like you make the least amount of choices you have to make in the day, the better when you're first starting off. Because like you don't want to use up your can of air.
And isn't it nice when you get something down to like second nature, once you have a good habit and it's down to like you said, just being able to just do it without thinking about it? Yeah, he's right.
Do any of you have anything to add?
God, I don't know. These guys really add a lot, so I don't know.
There is one thing I'd like to tell everyone who's debating getting into jiu-jitsu but doesn't want to do it yet, and they've invented an excuse in their head why not to do it. Which, to be honest, if you want to get into shape and you're not doing it, or if you want to eat better and you're not doing it, I mean, this is very easy things you can do to get started. So stop inventing excuses. Anyway, what I hear frequently, I hear it all the time. I hear it probably 15 times out of 20 when I talk to someone who says they would like to do it, but they haven't yet. They say, hey, I'm waiting until I get into a little bit better shape before doing it. And I never understand why that is. I never thought it made sense, because it's like saying, I got to get in better shape before I go see the doctor. No, you go to the doctor and then, well, maybe not. Like, it depends on what doctor, If you want to get in, the best way to get in shape is to go start doing it. Just go and do it, and you will become in shape by doing this by nature. So if you think you need to have something different about your body first before doing jiu-jitsu, I would say that you're the person who you should probably go ahead and try and get started, or go lift weights or do something. If that is the excuse that you come up with, that I think that just means that if you have to use that as the excuse, like, oh, I'm not in good enough shape yet to go exercise, that means you should go exercise right now, dude. Go outside right now. Do something. I think it's a
like the
good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The best time to do it is right now. And if not right now, tomorrow, or like Monday.
I think like it's really common for people to treat like their current life as like a prologue. They just like keep putting stuff off. Like, oh, I'll do this whenever I'm out of debt, whenever I lose weight, whenever I can run a mile. But like, here's your sign.
Yeah, you make an excellent point there, because it's like, are you going to choose to be happy now, or are you going to wait to like prolong your happiness until X is met or Y is met? And I've been guilty of that. I've been said to myself, oh, you know what? Everything's going to be great once I do X. Well, I can't do X right now because of Y. And it's like, you guys are both bringing up a good point about that. So thank you for that.
Okay. Do you guys want to give a final goodbye or whatever, and then like your plugs, and then we'll wrap this up. We can start from BJ and then go Pulpo and then Steppy.
Sure. So if you want to argue with me on Twitter, don't find me. But if you like stupid cat pictures and you like retro music and you enjoy good food, I'm at beejereeno on Twitter.
I'm just El Pulpo. And go to jiu-jitsu. Most jiu-jitsu places will give you the first week free for a trial so you can see if you even like it. That way that you don't have to commit. So go there and just do a day or two. See if some people really don't like getting touched. So you may not like it. If you are adventurous and like to do fun stuff, you can do it and smoke cigarettes just like me.
All right. Yeah, so I don't have any real plugs to give here, but I would just say, I believe in you, king or queen. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't let people tell you like what you should do. If you've made up your mind, then that's for you, and nobody else can tell you otherwise.
And if you're worried about going to the gym because you are overweight or not very good at it, just remember, like I started from a real bad place, and the gym community is like overwhelmingly positive. And if they even see people shaming you, like most people are going to stand up for you. So don't even worry about that. And I'm sure it's probably the same in a jiu-jitsu gym. Maybe men can sometimes make fun of each other and they're like bond over that, but they're not going to be mean.
No, you won't get. You will definitely not get made fun of for being overweight in jiu-jitsu. In fact, if anything, you are in an advantage if you get on top of somebody. It kind of helps you out. There's guys I know. There's a Hawaiian guy who trains with us who, when he started, he was about 450, and now he's all the way down to 300. He's going below 300 now too.
Wow.
But he's still really big. You know, he's just naturally that way. And he's a purple belt. He's been training for like 6 years now, and he's really good at jiu-jitsu. He's in good shape. He can run. Like, we'll go out and we'll run. He'll run a mile without stopping. It's pretty sick. He'll train and roll all day long. So he's in good shape, even though he's big. That too can be you.
Yeah, I would say that the notion that gyms and the like are not accepting places to people who are out of shape largely is a pop culture notion. I've never seen it in practice. And I would say that the general nature of those types of places is sort of an uplifting meritocracy. Everyone wants everyone to do well, but the meritocracy is not on where you are, it's on where you're going. So actually, like when you see someone trying hard in the gym, that's always respected, no matter where you're at.
Absolutely. That kind of attitude is like something that that's fictionalized. It's like on movies or TV. It's not in real life.
Hell yeah. Planet Fitness markets to that insecurity that doesn't exist, by the way.
They want their clientele to be the kind of people who are afraid of the gym. They're selecting for people who won't use the facility for $12 a month, but that's another rant.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to go down that rabbit hole.
I could do a whole podcast ranting again. They actually encourage shaming just in the opposite direction.
Oh,
Wait.
I'm glad everyone here's anti-Planet Fitness.
Next podcast, we're just gonna make fun of them.
There's a whole bunch of people I follow on Twitter that know that it's called Planet Fatness in the certain circles because they have like bagels on the weekends and pizza and shit. So
yeah,
it's like, okay, seriously, that, like you said, it's a whole other podcast because that really does take you down a different hamster wheel, you know.
Look, I quit supporting Planet Fitness when they kicked out Steven Crowder dressed as a woman.
Oh my God. Okay, as much as I disagree with Steven Crowder politically, the guy's a shitlord and I love him.
No,
you're not even allowed to have
sucks.
like big water bottles there. Did you guys know that? Like, you can't have like certain size water bottles.
Oh,
yeah.
Steppy, they'll never be able to do your 1 gallon a day, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't even do a liter. It has to fit in their cup holder. And everybody knows like a good water bottle doesn't fit in a cup holder.
Hold on, here on their website, it says that you can bring in a 2 liter of Mountain Dew, though. So they will allow that.
I feel like that's not true, but yeah, probably.
I just read it.
That's hilarious. Oh, you know, I forgot to mention something, and I'm not going to go down a rant, I promise. Something that if people are feeling adventurous about eating like raw eggs or anything like that, and they want to go even further, look into Weston A. Price Foundation. They have a lot of like ancestral diets and stuff, which ancestral diet is now considered a racist term, by the way. So take that as you will. But if people are interested in really amping up their nutrition, organ meats and things like sardines and mackerel, those like canned protein fish are like super cheap and healthy if they're not in soybean oil. If they're in olive oil or water, you're good. But any other oil, forget it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening to the eMilitia. Hopefully you got some benefit from this. If you have questions for anybody who is on here, just like reach out to the eMilitia Twitter account. I don't run it, but the person will know what you're talking about.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.